we have them it's a stupid tablet again. We got the Android quality. Get off my screen. Stupid ass bug. Anyway. Hurricane Elsa. I haven't done a vlog in a while, so I don't know what I'm doing. So my name is the big brain. Wait, is South Park even on? I need to see if South Park is on, because I want to watch some South Park. Come on, South Park. Come on, South Park. So my name is the big brain. Cartman. Transportation, meals, and so much more. That adds money to my Social Security check. And get this, I'm entitled to an extra $100 a month. That's $1,200 added to my Social Security check. And I was like, you know what I'm about to do? Why? Call the 1-800 number on the screen. I'm about to record. Call now. It's free. I'm recording some South Park. I'm recording South Park for all that it's airing while I'm still at the house. Follow me, some car, me and everybody else. You did not see that.
The Subaru Crosstrek. Doc tested, Doc approved.
Hi, Phil. To be immunocompromised is difficult. You lose so much.
It's just really heartbreaking to see everyone getting back to normal, but he's still isolated.
Ready to try this out?
I'm ready.
I like this. It's so cool.
That was cute.
Recently, Facebook announced it will review its ban on former President Trump in 6 months, and Newsmax wants to know what you think. Should Facebook let Trump back on? You can vote in our poll, and it takes just a minute to vote. So just text us and register your vote now. We'll show your results on Newsmax TV, Newsmax.com, and with
no one cares. It's a fucking Weather Channel.
Real news for real people.
Currently in our area, 76 degrees with a thunderstorm.
Okay, thunderstorm. You saw nothing.
Tonight, thunderstorms early, low 70. Chance of rain 70%.
Yeah, I have nothing better to do. I don't even know why I'm
Wednesday,
vlogging, because I have
scattered
nothing to do.
thunderstorms. High 82. Chance of rain 60%. Wednesday
It's got me
considerable
wacky.
cloudiness with occasional rain
Rain
showers.
is sleepy,
70. Chance of rain
free.
60%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
How would you like to set my balls, Mr. Casey? I'm sorry, I love South Park too much. Yeah, y'all would be very, very weirded out to know that I am a young child who loves South Park, but also isn't too afraid of blood either, so you can guess that I'm into South Park. I grew up in horror films and shit like that.
How longer, perhaps, this might be before it makes landfall. Bringing in Mike Bettis and Dr. McNabb, our hurricane expert and former director of the National Hurricane Center as well. So, Dr. Knapp, not really surprised to see this
breaking to hurricane status. But how much stronger do you think this thing could get?
Well, I don't think it is a candidate for really rapid intensification in the last few hours before landfall. Doesn't mean it can't get a little stronger. One thing working for it to strengthen some more is its relatively small size in terms of its inner core. And small systems can kind of go up and down in a real hurry. But I think that the environment argues for not rapid intensification, but you can't rule out a little bit more. It's moving north at 14, so that buys it a little more time, right? The center of circulation will probably stay over water for a little while longer. Now, here's what's interesting is that the hurricane hunters have not quite gotten into the inner core. They based the increase in the intensity from 70 to 75 miles an hour based on radar data, which you can't do for systems that aren't really close to shore. So that was one advantage the forecasters of the Hurricane Center had in this case of having Doppler velocities to look at and then trying to make some adjustment, as difficult as that can be sometimes, to adjust the radar velocities at an elevated location with the radar being down to what surface winds might be. But it'll be interesting to see what the aircraft finds to see if they can confirm what's going on. And the radar data and the aircraft data is so critical in this case because satellite estimation in this case would not be very reliable. You got this upper level trough causing the wind shear. But Mike and Jackie, when I look in closely, two things on satellite do jump out at me. One is, despite the shear, look at the upper level outflow that is in the immediate vicinity of the storm looking pretty healthy. So at the smaller scale, it doesn't look like it's too terribly sheer. And that low-level center that was exposed earlier is now tucked in under the convection a little bit more. And then, of course, the other thing that has really started to catch all of our attention is this eye-like feature. I don't know if this is really an eye or really an eye wall, but it certainly is trying to get better organized. And so with an inner core that's producing that kind of convective signature on radar with all that lightning, with the velocities on the radar, either way, 70 or 75 mile an hour tropical storm or hurricane, this is going to hammer the Tampa Bay area and going north from there, guys, in just a few hours. It's a right offshore.
Dr. Knapp, it always seems like once a system gets into the Gulf of Mexico, and even if it has just the smallest window of opportunity, it takes advantage of it, and it has in this case.
Yeah, one thing about the Gulf of Mexico is it's pretty much always warm enough during hurricane season, and the waters there are well above 80 and 85 degrees in spots, and that often gives systems a little bit of an advantage because even if you have some wind shear, you have so much fuel there. But the other thing too, Jackie and Mike, have you guys noticed that Elsa seems to have, as one of its personality traits, that it seems to be stronger than you think it should be, given the situation it's in. When it was over the Eastern Caribbean, it was zipping along at 30 miles an hour, and it was still a hurricane. That is a rare occurrence. So this one has been feisty all along.
So let's talk about landfall. This thing is going north, so it's paralleling the coastline, which makes it really tricky to pinpoint landfall until that turn begins to happen. How long do you think before this could be making landfall? And talk about the coastline too, because it kind of goes out. It's a little bit more convex near Tampa, and then it goes in again.
Yeah, and this is one of those cases where it might scrape land, more than once. So technically speaking, it could possibly, the center of circulation, intersects the coastline there near St. Petersburg and Clearwater, where it juts out a little bit. Technically, you could possibly have a landfall there, or it passes just offshore. But that distinction isn't going to matter for Tampa Bay, because I don't think it's going to go over or east of Tampa Bay. It doesn't look like anyway, and that's going to put that metro area along with Sarasota, Bradenton on the stronger, heavier rain onshore flow side. So, when you see the gusts that we've observed here on the visible imagery over the last several hours, it's been pretty gusty, a good distance away from the center. So even if the center misses, some certain areas, it's not going to spare people from getting the worst of it. But Jackie, I think to your point, eventually it's going to make landfall in the Big Bend area for good, at least for Florida. And then, and Mike and Jackie, after that, we've got the East Coast to worry about, and it's stronger than we thought.
So now Dish allows you to access your Google Nest Hello doorbell from your TV.
Hey, what time is it? No, he's here early. He can't see me like this. What do I do?
Always know who's at your door right from your TV. Dish. Tuned in to you.
New projects means new project managers. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed, you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from a resume database. Claim your $75 credit when you post your first job at Indeed.com/home.
We've never been so ready to get back out there. And with Copper Tone Sport, we can reclaim the boulders, the backwoods, and the breakers. Copper Tone Sport. Find your sign.
Hey, copy me up here.
Hi, Mr. Charles. We made you dinner.
Oh, thank you.
Ready to eat?
Yes, I am.
Liberty Mutual customized cards from Sale and pay for what you need. How much money can Liberty Mutual save you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 808
Ear, everything hurts.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Well. Look at you. You mastered the master bath. You created your own style. And you, yes you, turned a sourdough starter into a sourdough finisher. So when you learn your chronic dry eye is actually caused by reduced tear production due to inflammation, you take it on. By talking to your eye care professional about Restasis, which may help you make more of your own tears with continued use twice a day, every day. Restasis helps increase your eye's natural ability to produce tears, which may be reduced by inflammation due to chronic dry eye. Restasis did not increase tear production in patients using anti-inflammatory eye drops or tear duct plugs. To help avoid eye injury and contamination, do not touch the bottle tip to your eye or other surfaces. Wait 15 minutes after use before inserting contact lenses. The most common side effect is a temporary burning sensation. Ask your eye care professional about Restasis. Now to trick out these lights. Visit Restasis.com to learn more.
I thought I was managing my moderate to severe Crohn's disease. Then I realized something was missing. Me. My symptoms were keeping me from being there for her. So I talked to my doctor and learned Humira is the #1 prescribed biologic for people with Crohn's disease. The majority of people on Humira saw significant symptom relief in as little as 4 weeks, and many achieve remission that can last.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections. Serious and sometimes fatal infections, including tuberculosis and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Be there for you and them. Ask your gastroenterologist about Humira. With Humira, remission is possible.
And right now on Weather Underground, Hurricane Elsa intensifies. Yes, it is now a hurricane. And our hurricane experts
It's a hurricane now, boys.
you need to know, plus live team coverage as Elsa.
It is a
hits the
hurricane
Sunshine State.
now.
Strong winds and heavy rain.
Now, the impacts from this storm are spreading well beyond landfall in Florida here. We're going to show you where conditions will deteriorate from Georgia into the mid-Atlantic, perhaps even into New England. That's all next on Weather Underground.
And we're so glad you're joining us here for our live special coverage of Hurricane Elsa. I'm Mike Bettis.
And I'm Jackie Jarris. Our new advisory is in. We've got a hurricane on our hands now, as expected. And, this doesn't really change necessarily, Mike, the impact that we're still expecting now.
No, it doesn't. A lot going on for us here across Florida, especially tonight. Let's bring in our hurricane expert, Dr. Rick Knapp, for the very latest on this. With that new advisory, Dr. Knapp, we're now back up to a hurricane for the second time.
Yeah, we are, Mike. And Jackie made a very important point just
You
now.
miss
And
the
that is
sleeping
that
brain.
this doesn't change the overall impacts. There's not a lot of difference between a 70-mile-an-hour tropical storm and a 75-mile-an-hour hurricane. Most folks won't get that hurricane-force wind. Most of you will still get strong tropical storm. But somebody likely to get those hurricane-force winds, and that's why it's designated a hurricane, and we've got the hurricane warning up. But it's not just about where the max wind is. It's who all is going to get wind and water impacts at the coast and inland. And the fact that it's moving north at 14 miles an the bad weather is on the north to east to southeast side means that even if you're not in the center of circulation or in the path of it, you could be in the center of action, especially to the east of it. So this is going to have a lot of impact on a lot of folks. Now, what's interesting is that getting to the storm and haven't fully sampled the circulation on this particular mission. The earlier mission today was the one that found the 70-mile-an-hour winds. This one hasn't found anything close to that yet because it hasn't sampled the whole storm. What has happened is that the Hurricane Center has looked at radar data and from the velocities, adjusted those to the surface to estimate that we have max sustained winds at 75 miles an hour. But in any case, whether it's 70 or 75 for the maximum, the winds of tropical storm force are knocking on the door of the coastline, and we have, Mike, a lot of people who are about to get rocked by really strong tropical storm conditions that could be damaging in some places, could take out power lines, take out power, dangerous for mobile homes, and then the flooding rainfall and some storm surge.
So many things to consider with this storm, Dr. Ned. We appreciate that update. We know that 33 counties in Florida are under a state of emergency as Hurricane Elsa continues to strengthen. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis joined us earlier on Weather Underground, and we asked him what message he has for people in the path of this hurricane.
Now's not the time to be going on any joy rides. One thing that, because it's going to be impacting the Tampa Bay area at night and then really into the wee hours of the morning all the way through, hopefully there wouldn't be people on the roads in large numbers anyways, but now's not the time to want to go on the roads and just stay put if you can. If the safety is
Yeah, thank you.
Please, marshmallows over there and toast some
Things that
marshmallows.
people can do because you might be driving around. I hope not. But if you're out and about in the Tampa Bay area thinking, oh, this isn't so bad, well, it's about to get a lot worse. And it'll be nighttime and driving, rainstorm, and tropical storm conditions at night with slick roads, flooding is a possibility, even some storm surge flooding. Remember how nasty it was during Ada last November at night? This could be at least that bad, and this might be a little closer call from a stronger system. So, got to get off the roads, folks. We've got the tropical storm conditions about to arrive on the coastline, and there could be a spot or two in there with hurricane conditions not far behind. There's some vicious lightning. Tropical storms, on the verge of becoming hurricanes, as this one has done, often have a lot of intercore lightning as they're trying to organize that intercore. And there's an eye-like feature on the radar there, an informative eye wall kind of feature. It's a banding eye wall kind of feature on the northeast side. Unfortunately, the northeast side of the storm is where the land is and where the people are, and so a lot of us are about to get some really strong winds and some training of the rainfall, so flooding is going to be an increasing problem from freshwater and from saltwater. And it's interesting how the storm has, for the most part, been able to fight off enough of the wind shear and the dry air with an upper-level outflow here to have that breathing kind of upper-level pattern, at least in the immediate vicinity of the storm. So that's another indication of something going from tropical storm to hurricane, despite this upper-level trough producing less than ideal conditions for strengthening. Now, we switch back over to the visible imagery. You can see one other thing that's changed over the last several hours is that low-level center has disappeared underneath the convection. And on the coastline, we have, even off to the southeast, 20, 30, 40 mile an hour wind gusts, persisting, and now it's starting to increase on the coast in Sarasota and Tampa. But once that main band comes in, Jackie, then I think things are going to change for the worse. And look at what these buoys have measured, gusting 40, 50, 60, even over 70 miles an hour recently. And when the Hurricane Center on the last advisory said winds of tropical storm force will be arriving around 8 p.m. now in Fort Myers, or around 2 a.m. in Tampa, that timing seems pretty accurate given what we're seeing on the radar.
Yeah, it looks like they're on the cusp of some of those stronger winds in Sarasota, Florida. So we want to get the latest of what it's been like on the ground there. Our Weather Channel's Justin Michaels is live in Sarasota right now. And Justin, how about it? How have things been changing? Holy cow, it's quite gusty for you right now.
Well, really, there's a moment where it calms down just about now, and then it kicks in, and I'll tell you what, we have seen the worst conditions of this entire storm over the last maybe half hour, Jackie. We're it has definitely been gusting well into the 40s or 50s. The kind of wind where you really have to brace yourself when it comes in, which is why I'm keeping a wide stance here, only because you know these gusts are coming. And when they come quick, and it's really, really tough to stand up. So these little bits of calm, but the intensity of this storm has really ramped up. And to know that it's a hurricane again, even though that really doesn't mean too much. I don't know, maybe it kind of does for the psyche, the fact that it's a hurricane and not a tropical storm. Really, folks, all joking aside, the best thing you could be doing is staying in. We still keep seeing people driving around. There goes somebody in a truck right now. We, of course, understand there are sometimes places you need to go. But for the most part tonight, the best thing you can do is stay indoors. And I'll tell you what, as far as Tampa Bay, Bradenton, St. Petersburg, what we're experiencing here right now in Sarasota, it's coming for you, I promise. We heard Dr. Knapp say that Elsa is knocking on the door. Well, yeah, Sarasota's answering at this point, and we know that it's coming to you. So just make sure whatever preparations you haven't gotten done, hopefully you can get them done in the next few minutes if you're up in Tampa or in Bradenton or in St. Pete Beach, because you're not going to be able to do it once this thing really gets there and is coming through.
Really good above
here in Sarasota, we're going to be seeing the 40, 50, 60, 70 mile per hour gusts.
If y'all saw my little shorts that I did, that it slowed down, but it's still like kind of raining.
So just again, if you're on vacation, stay inside. If you're home, stay inside. You don't need to drive anywhere. Stay inside and watch the Weather Channel, and I promise you, by tomorrow morning, especially in Sarasota and point south, as you're waking up, you're probably going to be able to have your day.
Yet more deadly. Quarantine, but more deadly. Because the virus ain't deadly enough.
Because we know that severe weather could be part of this. Elsa is here, and she means business. Jackie and you.
Absolutely. And just a good point.
I think, where's Anna?
You may see sunshine.
I'm sorry, I had to.
Tomorrow, but those winds are still going to be pushing in onshore, and the storm goes up towards your north. So rip currents and rough surf will still be a problem. So vacationers, just big heads up on that one. You may not want to go in the water tomorrow, even if weather conditions are looking good. Pay attention to the flags. We'll take you to North Florida now, because you're going to be next. Once this gets through the Tampa St. Pete area, we're going to be talking about impacts in Cedar Key up towards Gainesville and into the Jacksonville area as well. Conditions should start to go downhill here overnight tonight. By the time you wake up tomorrow morning, we're talking about wind gusts over 30
Dr.
miles
Dallas, help me thank you again.
Where we start to see some tree branch damage and some spotty power outages. So this model showing you the center just offshore here in the Big Bend area, working its way in, maybe late morning, and wind still coming in from the southwest then, producing wind gusts 20-25 miles per hour. But in the squalls, it could be stronger, and that's one of the things we're concerned about here in North Florida in particular, where you've had some recent rainfall and the ground's pretty saturated. So we're talking about heavy downpours coming in by tomorrow morning that will be pretty persistent for a number of hours, finally pushing up to the north as we head into your Wednesday evening. So rain could be 2 to 5 inches widespread, so multiple year round. May lead to flash flooding. We do have watches in the area as a result of that. We're taking her towards the Space Coast right now. I know you guys are far to the east of here, but you're not going to have zero impacts. You're still going to see some gusty winds. Plus, look at the winds coming in from the water towards the coast. Remember those rip currents that I was just talking about, the rough waters? You're going to have that because of that onshore flow going as well. Here's Orlando, here's Kissimmee. This is 10 o'clock for tonight as we head towards tomorrow. Watch how those winds start to really push in and increase from the west. Some of those pink colors here indicating those wind gusts over 30 miles per hour in the villages. And a lot of people, folks that live there. So there could be some spotty outages there, and folks need to be prepared. Some power, they need to be prepared for some flash flooding in these areas. There's some squalls moving in. You can see more steady rain possibly as we head towards early tomorrow morning.
Starting to be able to be put into a
risk of tornadoes. This is going to be one of the spots we'll have to watch where a few tropical tornadoes could develop, especially with time in the heat of the day. And in the afternoon, between those squalls, you get a little break and you get a little sunshine.
It's getting too
instability. So another thing to watch as this begins to pull out of here as we head through the day on Thursday.
All right, Jake, thank you so much for that. We know that some of Florida's west coast beaches will be assaulted by hurricane. Elsa tonight, like Clearwater Beach. Meteorologist Rel Reynolds Wolf is there for us this evening. Reynolds, call me before the storm. Things are about to get very, very intense tonight, though.
Oh, there's no doubt.
I got a receipt in Carolina.
Here at Clearwater Beach Marina, we've had quite a few people that have been coming by this area. The reason why is because, well, what you're seeing right here behind us, Matt Sankers, the man behind the camera. You'll notice these boats that we have. These boats are all tied up, but there's a lot of slack in the lines. The idea, we've been told by some of the locals, that when you have the rising water, we do expect that to happen right here, these boats have got to go somewhere. They're going to go up with the rising water. And they say that, well, as long as this marina has been here, and as long as we've had tropical systems, the water actually goes up over these steps and right towards Matt Safer's feet. Matt, I don't know if you can point the camera down. There you go. So right there, that's the water's edge. That's where it's going. You see where it is, so it has a ways to go. Something has got to push it. That something is going to be the wind that's beginning to pick up. When it has more than southerly effects, that's when that's going to occur. Right now,
Dang,
I got to tell you, the skies
81.
are still filling up with more of the clouds. Off in the distance, we've got some heavier bands that are approaching. And sure enough, that is when things are going to go absolutely nuts in terms of your weather. You'll notice down here a couple of people, again, walking in our direction. They've also been looking at these boats. It's a precarious situation. This is the way they make their living. Again, this is the part of the tourist industry, getting people out and about on the water. But today, that water, inhospitable. We do have a visitor that's on the way. That, of course, is Elsa. Elsa, folks, if you're just tuning in at this exact moment, it is now a hurricane. And I got to tell you, at this point, though, it doesn't matter if it's a minimal hurricane or a very strong tropical storm. Both of these can be incredibly dangerous. So do the smart thing. If you're in the area, have a safe place to go. You don't want to go out exploring the community at this time. Wait for tomorrow morning when all this, and I'm talking more like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning when the winds begin to die down. Problem is, the story is not going to begin or end right here, Dr. Knapp. This is going to keep going. And there's still many chapters in this story that are not yet written, that are going to move across parts of Florida, perhaps in Georgia, the Carolinas, and beyond. Long way to go. Back to you, Dr. Knapp.
Yeah, and Reynolds, a couple of things that Elsa has done along the way have been surprising, right? It doesn't always stick exactly to the script in terms of what the forecast is. We talked last night about how it could end up being stronger than 65 miles an hour. And tonight, it has absolutely done that. And it is really striking to see how calm, relatively speaking, the weather looks in Clearwater at the moment when it is going to change
like a horny newborn
and
baby.
change quickly when the northern side of this makes it up to there. And what's happening here in the Gulf
My cat just looks
has
at
an
me
impact on what we're going to deal with along the East Coast, because the more of a core and the stronger this system can be over the Gulf of Mexico, the more it might hold
Do
together.
you mind not licking right in front of me in the living room, Sarah?
Of hurricane winds, but they haven't made it past through that strongest
Don't lick yourself right in front of me in the living room now.
It's going to spend a little more time over water, and that maintains a little more strength for a little longer before it crosses Florida and gets to Georgia and the Carolinas. If it were to spend more time over land before going up the East Coast, that would be a different story. But in any case, once it gets up into this area from Georgia northeastward, it'll start to feel the influence of this trough that will accelerate it northeastward and provide some wind shear, but some non-tropical energy along the way to maintain some strength. So increasing chances of winds of tropical storm force. Hard to pinpoint.